tidal wave of new all-electric vehicles continues to crash into Australia, but some brands still haven't launched their first EVs yet. Lexus is one such brand. Well, until now. Introducing the UX 300e. Of course, the UX 300e is a zero-emissions version of Lexus's popular small SUV, the UX, but it's already facing stiff competition from the Mercedes-Benz EQA and Volvo XC40 Recharge Pure Electric. So, is it the best of the premium bunch? Let's find out. But before we do, I'm going to split this video into chapters with their time codes right over here, so feel free to skip ahead to anything you're particularly interested in. And if you're watching on YouTube, there are markers in the timeline below to make skipping ahead even easier, but be sure to give this video a like before you do. As always, if you want to know more, you can read my detailed written review over at the CarsGuide website, so click on the link in the description below to go check it out. And if you want to stay on top of any of our upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe to the CarsGuide YouTube channel and then hit the bell icon to get notified when they're uploaded.
The UX 300e is available in two grades, the entry-level luxury and flagship sports luxury. The luxury undercuts the competition from $74,000 plus on-road costs, while the sports luxury commands a $7,000 premium. And in case you're wondering, no, the UX 300e isn't available in a familiar mid-range F-Sport grade, but Lexus might decide to introduce one in the future. Either way, standard equipment in the luxury impressively includes LED lights, 17-inch alloy wheels, power folding side mirrors with heating, roof rails, keyless entry, rear privacy glass, and a hands-free power tailgate. Inside, push-button start, a 10.3-inch multimedia system, satellite navigation, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto support, digital radio, a 13-speaker Mark Levinson sound system, and a 7-inch multifunction display feature. Then there's wireless smartphone charging, a heated steering wheel with a power-adjustable column, 8-way power-adjustable front seats with heating and cooling, and heated rear outboard seats. The Sports Luxury adds adaptive tri-beam LED headlights, 18-inch alloy wheels, a moonroof, a head-up display, smooth leather-accented upholstery, a stitched washi instrument panel, and 3D illuminated interior trim. Needless to say, UX 300e buyers get a lot of bang for their buck.
Design-wise, Lexus has really tried to make a point with the UX 300e. It says its buyers don't want EVs that look futuristic, so the UX 300e just looks like another UX, or a Lexus for that matter. So of course you've got these boomerang-style DRLs, which are really distinctive, and of course Lexus's signature spindle grille, although it does have active grille shutters, but you'd hardly ever see them. Around the side, there are a couple of differences again with the UX 300e. Mainly, it's different alloy wheel designs. This is the sports luxury, so this is the 18-inch alloy wheel design, but also the luxury and its 17s get a different design too. Also, there's this very obvious electric badge on the rear doors here, so in case you didn't know what you were driving, that's there. But yeah, otherwise it's just another UX, which is no bad thing. It's good looking, but it really is just a jacked up hatchback, more of a crossover than an actual SUV, but it still looks the part nonetheless. And at the rear, the UX 300e really makes its presence felt on the road. I particularly like these 3D style taillights with the light bar linking them all the way across the tailgate. It really is a great signature for the car. Now, of course, the UX 300e has unique badging, which helps it stand out from the rest of the UX range. And it also has a blue version of the Lexus logo, much like the UX 250h Hybrid. Inside the UX 300e, you'd also be hard-pressed to pick the difference between it and any other UX, although there are a couple of small differences, such as the instrumentation has some obvious differences there. Otherwise, it's pretty much like any other UX, which is no bad thing because it really does feel premium even for its premium price point. You've got plenty of nice materials all around the place. One thing though that should be highlighted is the UX 300e still has Lexus's old style of multimedia system, which is controlled by this little frustrating trackpad here. It is the best implementation of this trackpad yet, but it is still really frustrating to use. A touchscreen would be way better in this instance. Thankfully, next generation Lexus products have exactly that. But what do you think of the design? Let us know in the comments below. Practicality-wise, the UX 300e does better than you'd expect. First of all, its boot has a cargo capacity of 414 litres, which is actually better than what you get in the UX 250h Hybrid. But that said, there is a rather large load lip to contend with, so that can make loading bulkier items a little bit more difficult. Although loose items can be secured with the 4 tie-down points and 2 bag hooks that are on hand. Underfloor, there is some storage space for at least one of the charging cables that the UX300E comes with, and there's also a tyre repair kit. Now, if you do want more storage capacity, of course, you can fold down the split fold second row by the release latches, which are easily accessible via the boot. That exposes an undisclosed amount of space, but yeah, you can definitely play with that and use it as you see fit. Here in the second row, things aren't quite as good. As you can probably tell, it's pretty cramped back here for an adult like myself. Behind my 184 centimetre seating position, there's a little bit of legroom, which is fine, but I have got a tiny bit of headroom and there's absolutely no toe room, so no wiggle room at all down there, so it's not quite as good. And you may notice as well, the seating position is quite high up, and that's because the batteries are under floor and stacked, so you get this kind of like stadium seating position, which can be a bit strange looking down on everyone in the front seat. So yeah, it's fine for a couple of adults on a shorter journey, but yeah, you'd certainly want a bit more space if you're going on a longer journey. Kids are accommodated, however, with 3 top tether and 2 Isofix anchorage points, but again, they may be a bit of a challenge to fit child seats, so good luck to you with that. Amenities wise, you do get a fold down armrest with a couple of cup holders, which is perfect for our CarsGuide bottle, but there aren't any door bins, so you can't have extra storage space for bottles. There's only 1 map pocket as well on this passenger seat with nothing on the driver's seat, although you do get a couple of directional air vents at the rear of the center console, and below them a couple of USB-C ports. And in the first row, practicality is a lot better. First of all, there's a lot more room to go around, but no, the center console here, the lid opens from either side, but it's a decent size. You've also got a couple of USB-A ports and an auxiliary port. Ahead of it are a couple of cup holders, which we can obviously use for our CarsGuide bottle. And there is a wireless smartphone charger just ahead and a 12-volt power outlet too. The glove box is big enough for the manual and probably not much else. And yeah, other than that, that's kind of your lot in the first row, aside from the front door bins, which are large enough to take 1 regular bottle each.
The UX300E comes with a largely impressive safety suite. Advanced driver assist systems and the luxury extent to front and rear autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and daytime cyclist detection, active blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. And then there's lane keep assist and steering assist, adaptive cruise control, road sign recognition, high beam assist, tyre pressure monitoring, a reversing camera, and front and rear parking sensors. Meanwhile, the sports luxury also gets surround view cameras. Standard safety equipment also includes 8 airbags, including knee coverage for the driver and front passenger.
While ANCAP hasn't crash tested and therefore given the UX300E a safety rating, all the signs are good, as all other variants of the UX were awarded the maximum 5 stars under its 2019 protocols. That said, the UX300E is missing intersection assist, emergency steering functionality and a front center airbag, all of which are scrutinised in 2021 and beyond. Under the bonnet of the UX300E, unlike some other electric cars, you won't find a fruit or a frunk. Instead, you'll find the front-mounted electric motor, which produces 150 kilowatts of power and 300 newton meters of torque. With a single-speed automatic transmission in tow, the UX300E can sprint from a standstill to 100 kilometers an hour in a warm 7.5 seconds. But if you're after a punchier dual-motor powertrain with all-wheel drive, you'll have to look elsewhere, as Lexus doesn't offer such a model yet.
The UX300E's 54.3 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery delivers a WLTP certified driving range of 305 kilometers, which is more than 100 kilometers short of its segment's average. Of course, a larger battery option would cater to more buyers by offering a longer driving range, so time will tell if Lexus does indeed add one. The UX300E's energy consumption on the combined cycle test is, however, encouraging at 15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But in my real-world testing, I averaged a higher 16.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which equates to 296 kilometers of driving range. Needless to say, if you cover meaningful distances each week, you'll be charging the UX300E regularly.
Speaking of which, a 7 kilowatt AC charger with a Type 2 plug will fully charge the UX300E's battery in 6.5 hours, so overnight. Good thing then that Lexus Australia throws in such a wall box from JetCharge as part of the purchase price, alongside 2 charging cables. Meanwhile, a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger with a less common CHAdeMO plug can fully charge the UX300E's battery in 80 minutes. And yes, Lexus Australia also throws in a 3-year subscription to Australia's largest public EV charging network, ChargeFox, as part of the purchase price for the UX300E, so that's always a nice thing to have in your back pocket. But if you need to make longer trips and don't want to regularly stop to charge, Lexus Australia also offers hybrid or petrol-powered loan cars for 4 trips up to 8 days in duration over the first 3 years of ownership. So it's nice to always have that option too. Like all Lexus Australia vehicles sold from 2022, the UX300E comes with a new 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which equals the premium benchmark. But its battery is covered by a separate 10-year unlimited kilometre term, while it also comes with 5 years of roadside assistance.
The UX300E's service intervals are average at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever comes first. Handily cap price servicing means the first 5 visits cost $1,475 in total, or an average of $295.
Behind the wheel of the UX300E, the first thing of course you're going to notice is what's under your right foot. As soon as you press down, at 150 kilowatts and 300 newton meters from the front mounted electric motor really comes to the fore. It's got great pep off the line, but particularly when you are overtaking, you can just stick the boot in and you do get that kind of instant responsiveness that make EVs just so fun to drive. Another thing that is unique to EVs, and indeed the UX300E, is regenerative braking. I really like it, and in its most aggressive mode you can take your foot off the pedal and it will gradually, in this instance, slow the car down. It is definitely gradual from high speed. As you go to low speed it feels more aggressive, but yeah, certainly at high speed it is a kind of gradual transition of deceleration. But essentially you don't have to use the brake pedal at all. You can bring the car down, in my experience, to about 3 or 4 k's an hour, before which then you need to engage the brake pedal and therefore the friction brakes. But yeah, if you time it well enough in city traffic or whatever, you can basically essentially one pedal drive this car, which is always pretty cool and one of the real benefits of EVs, I think, and one of their more unique characteristics. So I really like regenerative braking. This is a pretty good, if not perfect, implementation of it. But one thing to note is, in order for your preferred regenerative braking setting to be locked, and there are 4 of them again, you need to have the gear selector in its B or brake mode. Otherwise, if you're just playing with the paddles, which is how you switch between the different settings on the steering wheel, it will only temporarily give you that regenerative braking setting you like, and then when you step on the accelerator again it will reset to its default settings. So just keep that in mind. Basically make sure you have it in B all the time. Now we're currently driving the UX300E on a bit of a twisty road, and like most products on the TNGA platform used by Toyota and Lexus, it is really great to drive. It is surprisingly sporty. Again, you have a 54.3 kilowatt hour battery underfloor and the electric motor up front, which is about half the weight of the hybrid powertrain that's available in the UX. So it's actually lighter over the front axle and better balanced overall, and you can really tell how well the UX300E drives immediately. You know, around corners you're getting very minimal body roll, which is really impressive. That said, being front wheel drive, if you do push it hard you can get a bit of understeer from time to time, so that is something that you have to keep in mind. But you know, overall you can really guide it through the corners and have a lot more fun than you'd probably ever expect. Now, part of the fun, of course, is the steering, which I think is really good. Got a surprising amount of feel through the wheel, and in its normal drive mode I think it's pretty well weighted. Of course you can go to a sport drive mode and get a little bit more heft. I don't think it's actually that much more, but you know, I think the reality is you're probably just going to have it in the normal drive mode most of the time anyway, even though sport is that little bit sharper also in regard to the throttle response too. But the ride, you don't have adaptive dampers, but I don't think you really miss them necessarily. It's really well tuned, quite comfortable. I've just come out of driving the Luxury, which is on the 17-inch alloy wheels, and you can tell there is a bit of a firm tinge to the ride. And again, with that extra weight, it's more firmly sprung, so that's to be expected, but it's certainly not uncomfortable. And then even in the sports luxury, which we're currently driving on the 18s, I don't think the ride is necessarily all that much poorer. So it definitely is pretty comfortable to drive in that manner too, which is always a plus. Another thing that is unique to EVs, or at least different about EVs, are the noise levels. You don't have an engine whirring away up front, although you can hear the whine of the electric motor as you step on it ever so slightly. But what you do notice as a result is road noise that would normally be drowned out. You do have a fair bit of that penetrating the cabin in the UX 300e. Wind noise, not so much surprisingly. You don't hear a lot over the side mirrors, even at highway speed, so that's pretty good. But yeah, just general road noise and tyre noise managed to penetrate the cabin a little too easily. But again, you do have this 13 speaker Mark Levinson sound system to drown out all that noise. As far as first generation all electric vehicles go, the UX 300e is on par. If you're a city dweller that rarely leaves the urban jungle, it could be the perfect fun to drive EV for you. But if you need to travel longer distances, there are other options out there like the EQA and XC40 Recharge Pure Electric. What do you think? Is the UX 300e a winner? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget, there's even more detail in my written review on the CarsGuide website, including a breakdown of the upcoming overall score. Thanks for watching.